You're watching Pyro Media Network. Pyro Media family, thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience with us is fruitful. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. And we do hope you consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
What's going on, y'all? We are back. So I'm so happy, so happy to see you guys. It's been a minute. So welcome back to all of you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Dr. Holt is in the building. What's up, King? How you doing? A whole new world. Yes, Michaela, it is. What is going on, Queen? Thank you guys for coming on in. I appreciate you guys. Well, looky. You guys are hilarious. Thank you guys for coming on. Do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We got a lot to talk about today, so I'm not going to delay. But I wanted to give you guys a moment to just come on in, come on through, and let you guys know what's going on with Pyro Media and your friendly neighborhood cupcake. I missed you, girl. How you doing, Queen? Hey, look, here comes Cookie. I know that's right. Hey everyone, hey Yella, hey Bentley is laying down in his new crate. We have just moved, so we are in our new happy abode. So he is enjoying his little space right now. He's very spoiled. We'll get to that on a TikTok. So if you're not following me on TikTok, make sure that you guys are following me at Kwame Speaks Official, so you can get all of the Bentley updates, because that's what I'm going to be doing. So. Yeah, I think he heard me, so he kind of looked over like, what, you calling me? No, I'm not calling you, boo. I'm doing a show. All right. All right, y'all. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. I have a new little setup, so I'm trying to make sure that I have everything correct over here before we get in. If you guys have not done so already, do me a quick favor. I don't care if you share it to your own YouTube, share it to a friend, invite somebody to come in, because we have a lot to talk, especially somebody that that's politically motivated or likes politics and stuff like that. So make sure you get them in here, because we're going to be very heavy politics on Pyro Power Hour. And if you're not following me on my on Kwame Speaks YouTube, I'm going to be super active on Kwame Speaks Official YouTube on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're going to do an official 9 a.m. Show. It's going to be pre-recorded show every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. But throughout the day, I'm going to cover any of the latest news that's going on with this current administration and just kind of political conversations. I'm going to talk about panel reviews, all of these different things. So there's a whole new thing. I'm advocating for the Bentley. You know what? I will probably look into that. I will think about that. That sounds appealing. But let's get into some things here. First and foremost, like I said, welcome to the Shizzo. I appreciate you guys for coming on in. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. All right. Appreciate you guys for coming on in. Hold on. There we go. All right. Welcome. All right. Like I said, I got a new setup, y'all, so I'm trying to get used to the new setup. But yes, welcome on in. Thank you guys for coming on through. Make sure, like I said before, like, share, and subscribe, because it does help the algorithm. And if you are not following Patreon, Make sure that you guys, if you have a free membership, you're not going to go ahead and see all of the new stuff that's going to be crack-a-lacking up in there. So make sure that you guys are getting in Patreon ASAP. It's only $5 a month. That's less than a cup of coffee a day. So make sure you guys are heading up in there and checking that out. All right, y'all. Let's get into some stuff here. Enough talking. A Beehive, welcome. Okay, Beehive, you're so funny. Let's go ahead and get into some things. Let's start out with some breaking news first and foremost. Wait, hold up. It's a little quiet in here. You know, y'all know I like me some music. There we go. Let's have a little vibe in the background at least. Jesus. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into some things here. Let's start out with some breaking news first and foremost. Let's go. All right, y'all. So we have some breaking news. First and foremost, we are getting into some stuff here. Let's go ahead and pull this up on stage. There we go. All right. First and foremost, we have the Diddler. You guys know, like, now I'm not going to recap everything that has been going on since I've been gone. Like, you guys know what's going on if you haven't been paying attention to the news. Diddy was found guilty, I believe, on 2 counts. Or maybe it was a 1 count. He was found not guilty on most of his counts, and there was a couple of counts that he was not found guilty on. Regardless, he was found guilty on, I guess. We'll talk about that in Patreon because I have some thoughts on this trial. And I really want to deep dive into it, but we don't have time for that. But what I do want to talk about is something that broke today. Diddy he was barred or he was held, retained from bail, so he's still in jail until his trial date, or not his trial date, his what do you call it? His arraignment, or no, not arraignment. What do you call it when you sentencing? Thank you. Until his sentencing. So he was going to be put out on bail, but the judge was like, no, he's a danger to society and all this jazz or whatever. Now, I don't like the bro. I don't. Okay. But I'm all about the facts. And that the fact of the matter is he was not found guilty. And what's the difference between him and anybody else that's going out on bail? But like I said, we'll talk about it in Patreon. That's a whole nother conversation. All right, so Diddy's latest attempt to get out of the slammer has been shot down yet again. The music mogul just took another legal L. This Monday, his motion for bail was officially denied by Judge Charlemagne, which is the same judge who presided over his high-profile trial. So let's take a look at what's been going on with Diddy. Take a look.
Got to get to some breaking news just as we've been on the air with a judge in literally the last maybe 10 minutes denying Diddy's motion for bail, meaning Sean Combs is going to stay behind bars until his sentencing in 2 months from now. Let me bring in Yasmin Vasugian, who's covering this story for us. Yas, we're going to get to all of this, but let's start with this ruling that just came in.
Yeah.
Do we know anything else? What else can you tell us?
Yeah, so essentially what we're learning from this judge, I mean, it's some of the same reasoning that we heard with the initial ruling when the defense also asked for instance, him to be released on $50 billion bail, in which case they're saying essentially that he failed to provide burden of proof as to why he should be released on this $50 million bail. Also citing his previous criminal background along with being a potential danger to society. So I don't think it's necessarily a surprise how that this denial came in, that in fact Sean Diddy Combs at this point will have to wait inside that prison in Brooklyn until his sentencing on October 3rd. But nonetheless, I also think that amidst all of this, it is incredibly likely that his defense attorneys will pursue other avenues in which they'll seek to have bail granted on his behalf and leading up to October 3rd.
What about this other piece of information we learned about today? This letter from Diddy's ex-girlfriend, somebody who I guess had initially been part of the case against Sean Combs, who now is basically writing or was writing in his defense. What's going on here?
So she was seen as victim number 3, or cited as victim number 3 by the prosecution, and she was set to testify on behalf of the prosecution initially going into the trial, and then she kind of goes to the prosecution, literally, in that they stated in court that she was supposed to testify. However, they had tried to remain in contact with her and had not necessarily heard back. I would also reiterate that she had given an interview to a podcast in 2019, I believe, in which she said and cited that Sean Diddy Combs had repeatedly stomped on her chest His former assistant testified in court as well that he had witnessed Sean Diddy Combs throwing apples at her. She dated Sean Diddy Combs for multiple years, on and off, throughout the time in which he dated Cassie Ventura as well. But nonetheless, she is now writing this letter to help the defense, in which she's citing, "I'm writing because I do not view Mr. Combs as a danger to me or to the community. This is his first criminal case. Throughout the investigation and proceedings, he has been cooperative, respectful, and compliant." But obviously, this time around, Hal, it has not worked.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated.
Okay, so anyway, I don't know about that girl, the victim, alleged victim, or whatever. I don't know about her. I don't understand, what's going on with that. I mean, I have an idea, but again, I'm gonna save my opinions for Patreon because we don't want to victim shame, and I'm not going down that road with these people on the internet. So that's here nor there. Again, I'm not no fan of Diddy anymore. What he's done is just it's not cool. I have a problem with how this case was laid out. I have a problem with how they navigated it. It was just a hot mess from the jump. But we're here to report the news, and that's all we got to do. Let's get into this. This is the actual. I think this is the judgment from the appeal. And you guys can kind of look at that. I'll post it on Patreon so you guys can take a look deeper into that. We don't have time. I don't really care. Good luck, girl. We wish you the best. Some of us don't. Anywho, let's move on. Let's get into what's going on with Pam Bondi. Miss Pamela. So some breaking news that came through. Attorney General Pam Bondi directed federal prosecutors to launch a grand jury investigation into accusations that members of the Obama administration manufactured intelligence about Russia's 2016 election interference. A source familiar with the matter told CNN on Today. Take a look at this hot mess today.
Before we go, breaking news. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has ordered federal prosecutors to launch a grand jury investigation into officials of the former President Barack Obama. So this is just breaking now on CNN. The inquiry is related to accusations involving manufacturing intelligence about Russia's 2016 election interference in the United States. So this was floated, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago. If prosecuted, a grand jury would be able to issue subpoenas as part of a criminal investigation into renewed allegations that Democratic officials tried to smear US President Donald Trump during his 2016 election campaign.
On his birthday, girl? On his birthday. Like, for real, girl? And it look. Okay, I promised myself I was going to calm down. I wasn't going to get my blood pressure up on the first day back. But this is ridiculous. I find it really interesting that your base is now mad at you because you decided that you wanted to not give them one of your campaign promises, which was the whole Epstein situation. Now you're deflecting and talking about something that was already talked about and adjudicated by Congress, jointly adjudicated by Congress, and now you want to spin things to make things, to deflect and to not focus on your crap that's going on with you. Your horrible tariff policy. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You firing people that are telling you what is actuality and actual reality. It's a hot mess. We'll get into it more this week on Kwame Speaks Live. But, again, crack is whack. That's all I got to say about that. Okay? All right, y'all. We're going to take a quick commercial break so that way we can go ahead and get into some things here. We got to pay some bills. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to go ahead and get into some things on things. Oh, wait, do I have anything before we go to commercial? No, I do not. Okay, but it is Leo season, so I want to make sure you guys know we are in Leo season, and we're going to get into some birthdays when we get back. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after the short commercial break. y'all, we are Black by popular demand. Thank you guys so much for tuning on. And if you're just tuning in, make sure you guys are hitting that like button, share, and subscribe. As I told you before, we are in Leo season, so we want to make sure we shout out all of our Leos out there. Hope Giselle, who is a former client of Pyro Media and friend of the network, is a Leo. We got our friend over there, King Jives is a Leo. There's so many Leos out there, but we want to shout out these special Leos and saying happy birthday to them. First and foremost, we want to give all honor and respect to the one, the only President Barack Obama. Shout out to you, sir. It's your 64th birthday, so God bless you on that. Barack Hussein Obama II is an American attorney and politician who served as the 44th president of the United States from 2009 to 2017, a member of the Democratic Party, and he was the first African American to be elected to presidency. He previously served as the U.S. Senator for Illinois from 2005 to 2008 and an Illinois State Senator from 1997 to 2004. So I hope you are enjoying your day, sir. He was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, FYI, and born on August 4th, 1961. So shout out to you, sir. Wishing you always the best. And yes, we also want to give some honorable mentions to Jackie Ina, Meghan Markle, and Todd Tucker. Okay, so shout out to Todd. But by the way, speaking of Todd,
well, it could have been a scheme that Todd set up for him to come to you with the bush.
I mean, it could have. This whole situation with Donald Trump could all be a scheme from Todd. We have questions, Todd. Come to the front. Anyway, let's move on. In remembrance, we want to shout out, give a happy heavenly birthday to the one and only Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong was born on August 4th, 1901, in New Orleans, Louisiana. And he passed away in transition on July 6, 1971 in Corona, Queens, New York. Louis Daniel Armstrong, a.k.a. Satchmo, Satch and Pops, was an American trumpeter, composer, a vocalist, and occasional actor who was one of the most influential figures in jazz. His career spanned 5 decades from the 1920s to the 60s and different eras in the history of jazz. In 2017, he was inducted into the Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. So shout out to him. We have a new segment, you guys, and it's called Take It to the Polls, okay? Y'all probably wonder, what the hell is he talking about? Listen, y'all remember question of the day and all those things and all that jazz? Well, we got to take it to the polls. And I want to poll. I'm going to run a poll. Should sugar or salt go in grits? Now, I have my own personal opinion. I have my own thoughts. Okay, this is an age-old question in the Black community. Okay, yes, polls. Okay. it's an age-old question in the Black community, but I have recently one of our cousins, our internet cousins, Arlita from Meet the Whitakers, posted on her TikTok, and we had a little TikTok battle in her comments talking about she thinks that sugar does go in grits. I disagree. What say y'all? Let me know in the comments, and if you're watching on the replay, put it in the comments as well. All right. We're going to take another quick commercial break, and it'll be our last commercial break for the day. And then we're going to go ahead and get into the roundup and get into these shows and episodes. Sugar does not go on. That's what I'm talking about, Dr. Hall. Y'all don't know what's going on with these people. Oh, Lord, it does not matter. It does matter, Cupcake. Anyway, I digress. We're going to go ahead and take another quick commercial break. And when we get back, we're going to get into the roundup and see what's going on in these internet streets. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
y'all, we are black by popular demand. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button, share, and subscribe. It does help the algorithm. So I thank you guys so much for coming on through with that. And if you are feeling so generous, go ahead and make sure you guys hit the Cash App to support this platform and all of the content that comes on here. You can hit them up at $$ Pyro Media, or you can hit me up directly at Kwame C86. So I appreciate you guys for all that you do. And if you're listening on our podcast, our podcast network, or listening on the replay, we appreciate your support all the same. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get into the roundup here. We have a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about here. All right, so first up, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but there's been a lot going on with, obviously, look at that face. That's terrible. But there's been a lot going on with Charles President. Craziness nonetheless. But recently, y'all's president went, because he doesn't have anything else better to do. He went on his True Social platform and basically attacked Charlemagne. Now, Charlemagne was on Laura Trump's platform and expressing his thoughts on the president, or y'all's president, and how he feels about Donald Trump. And so Donald Trump, of course, in his, crashing out way, went on True Social and said this: the very wonderful and talented Laura Trump, whose show is a big rating success, put racist sleaze back. How? First of all, pause. How are you going to call Charlemagne a racist when your campaign was funded by white nationalists, and white supremacist organizations? Explain. Anywho, can anyone imagine the uproar there would be if I used that nickname? Here's a low IQ individual, has no idea I don't care about reading his stuff, because it just is reading it, I feel, makes me lose brain cells and IQ. Okay? So he goes on True Social and goes off. This is what Charlemagne, and I don't always agree with Charlemagne, okay? I have my issues with Charlemagne on this platform. However, it don't with this impersonation. I'm just saying, I just want bigly things, okay? That's all I'm saying. Charlemagne is a loser. But anyway, this is what Charlemagne said on the Breakfast Club. Just FYI, fair use. This is on the Breakfast Club. All credits to them. It's a clip from them, so shout out to them.
Talk here today for Monday, August 4th, goes to President Donald J. Trump. Now, if you haven't heard, I was on Laura Trump's show, My View, on Fox this past weekend. Drop one of the clues bombs for Laura Trump. She's been a guest on Breakfast Club before, so I had no problem showing up to her program. I'm one of those silly rabbits who still believes in the First Amendment, okay, freedom of speech. Thankfully, Laura is a Trump who still believes in freedom of speech, because her father-in-law, the 47th president of the United States of America, did not take too kindly to some things I had to say. Now,
how do you rate his presidency so far?
I wouldn't give it a good rating,
Why not?
Simply because, the least of us are still being impacted the worst. Like when you look at something like, the big, beautiful bill, that's something that, I'm going to benefit from because of the tax bracket that I'm in. But, there's going to be so many people that's hurt by that bill. And, anything that takes away Medicaid from people and is going to put people in a worse financial situation than, they were previously in, I'm not for it.
I mean, where is the lie? Trump's big, beautiful bill is going to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. Okay, the other issue I said on My View with Laura's Trump is I believe traditional conservatives are quietly staging a political coup to take their party back from MAGA. I explained this to y'all a couple of weeks ago.
Traditional conservatives are going to take the Republican Party back. I think there's a political coup going on right now in the Republican Party that people aren't paying attention to. This Epstein thing is going to be a way for traditional conservatives to take their party back. I think that they know this is the issue that has gotten the base riled up. The MAGA base isn't letting this issue go. And for the first time, they know they can probably take their party back and not piss off the MAGA base. I think they're going to do that.
Just a conspiracy theory I have. It just feels like traditional conservatives who lost the party to Trump could use this opportunity to get it back, because the MAGA base wouldn't be upset at all if they impeached Trump and voted to remove him because he's in the Epstein files. Trump didn't like any of that, so he replied with a long-ass post on Truth Social.
The very wonderful and talented Laura Trump, whose show is a big rating success, put racist sleazebag Charlemagne the God Why is he allowed to use the word God when describing himself? Can anyone imagine the uproar there would be if I used that nickname?
We'll study your lessons.
He's a low IQ individual, has no idea what words are coming out of his mouth, and knows nothing about me or what I've done. Like just ending 5 wars, including a 31-year bloodbath between Republic of the Congo and Rwanda, where 7 million people have died and there was no end in sight. He did not know that. Or India and Pakistan, or wiping out Iran's nuclear capabilities, or closing the horrendous open border, or creating the greatest economy where prices and inflation have come way down, and where stupid and corrupt Joe Biden set the record for doing the worst job as president ever. But this dope Charlemagne would vote for Sleepy Joe or Kamala? ? Remember, 1 year ago, our country was dead, and now it's the hottest, and he capitalized hottest, country anywhere in the world. MAGA.
Now, the personal insults, I don't care. He called me a sleazebag. I looked up the definition of sleazebag. Says it's a disgusting or despicable person. Depending on who you ask, that may apply to me. Okay, I personally prefer friendly neighborhood a-hole. He said I'm a low IQ individual. I don't know. I've never taken an IQ test. He said I have no idea what words are coming out of my mouth. Absolutely true. Okay, I've been surprising myself my whole life. Like, damn, I actually said that? Now, let's get to your claims. He said I don't know anything about him ending 5 wars. Mr. President, nobody knew that, because it's not true. All right. There is zero evidence, nothing credible whatsoever that says President Trump played any role in ending the ongoing, keyword ongoing, conflict in the Eastern DRC or in Rwanda. Okay. America has not brokered any major peace deal between the DRC and Rwanda during Trump's second term. And wiping out Iran's nuclear capabilities, you did pull off a significant strike, but it didn't eliminate Iran's nuclear capability. Saying you wiped it out is an overstatement, because according to reports, no enrichment facility was destroyed, and Iran's nuclear threat is still very active, and some experts argue it's more dangerous now due to a lack of international oversight and the increased beef with Israel and the USA. Now, you also claim the borders were closed. Not closed, but you have tightened immigration policies and increased enforcement. You have definitely made the border harder to cross, but saying it's closed is false and ignores everyone coming over seeking legal asylum. By the way, I want border security. I just want you to keep your promise of deporting illegals and criminals. But since Homeland Security started to work to deport more people, okay, immigrants with legal status or no criminal history are being detained and deported too. That's not right. Okay, your family is always in fear.
Who family you talking about?
Okay, all right, listen. My fellow Americans, listen, my fellow Americans, we are in a strange time right now, a time we have never seen, because authoritarian strategy is being used against anyone who speaks out against this administration. But that, along with his reaction to what I said on Lara Trump, shows how authoritarians will attempt to bully people into pushing false narratives. President Trump, do you realize the best way to get the headlines you want is to simply do a good job? Is to simply do right by all Americans? He called me a racist. I didn't mention race not one time on Lara Trump. I didn't bring up the fact that President Trump issued an executive order directing oversight of institutions like the Smithsonian to remove or suppress narratives about systemic racism and Black history. They want to reframe cultural memory to eliminate discussions of historical racial injustice. That, along with the termination of diversity and civil rights programs, are considered very racist by a lot of civil rights advocates. I didn't even bring that up. Okay, I was just talking to your base, letting your base know that you haven't kept the promises you made in regards to the economy. In fact, you've made things worse. It's actually hilarious to see you upset about the high unemployment rates when you let Elon Musk take a chainsaw to the federal government and fire a bunch of government workers earlier this year. You did that, President Trump, and now you're doing exactly what the Biden administration did, trying to convince America the economy is all good when it's not. Maybe for people in a certain tax bracket, but for majority of your constituents who aren't in the 1%, it's not all good. So you can hire a new labor statistics chief to lie about the numbers. It won't stop the reality of people being unemployed. Okay, you can tell falsehoods about inflation being down. It won't stop the reality of the price of consumer goods being high because of tariffs you implemented. So listen, President Trump, don't worry about Leonard. Okay, don't worry about Charlemagne the God. I know something I said hit a nerve and rattled you a little bit, but I don't want you rattled. I want you to end wars. Okay, I want you to keep the border secure. I want you to have the economy booming. Okay, I want all these things to be true. I am an American. I don't care who's in the White House. I want America to succeed. Okay, believe it or not, I'm rooting for you. But I need you focused. And right now, you're not focused. Okay, we need you focused on 2 things: the economy and Epstein. All right, I need you to keep the promises of a great economy and the promises of transparency with the Epstein files. And I don't want us as a people to be distracted. Whenever you see Trump trying to deflect from what's important, keep him focused. Ask 2 simple questions. What about the economy? What about the Epstein files? Happy born day to President Barack Obama.
Now, let me explain something to y'all. It's not my job. Now, I agree with everything that he said because he read Trump intellectually for filth. Like, and first of all, it's not hard to do to read him intellectually for filth, but to bring up those facts and to any of his pundits that he may have, any of the people that he that Trump likes to surround himself with, all these political pundits that come on, Scott Jennings and all these other jackasses that come on and try to suck up to Trump and try to spin things. That's what Charlemagne was going after, in my personal opinion. But I disagree with Charlemagne in the sense of it's not my responsibility to keep him back on focus. It's his responsibility. It's his administration's responsibility to keep him focused on the agenda that he said that he was going to keep. Now, whether I agree with his political policies or not is not the point. Your base is pissed off with you for multiple reasons. It ain't got nothing to do with me because I didn't vote for your ass. I knew what you were coming with. I knew what was happening with you. And I knew what you were going to do. So it's not a surprise to me. It's not a surprise to the pyromaniacs because we knew what your ass was about anyway. So now we sitting here watching you and your people crying, upset, bewildered, betwixt. Anywho, let's move on because what can I do? Now, speaking of fragile egos, I personally don't like Stephen A. Smith for a multitude of reasons. Okay, I went to slap Scott Jennings into listen. That's a whole nother conversation. And I got something for Scott Jennings this week. You just wait. On Kwame Speaks, you go over to Kwame Speaks official. I got something for his behind. So apparently, Stephen A. Smith had to just have a complete clapback to the queen that is Michelle Obama, because he couldn't take something that she said. Let's first of all take a look at what she said, and then we'll get into these things, because I find it very interesting what she said and his response to what she said. Take a look.
If I listen to ESPN for an hour, it's like watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta. It's the same drama, and they're yelling at each other, and they don't get along. Stephen A. Smith, he's just like every other
he'd
talk
be a
show
great
host.
Real Housewife.
He would be, right?
It would be amazing.
So that's why I'm like, what's the difference? It's just, it's just sociological drama.
So that was her opinion, okay? That's what she said about ESPN. That's how she felt, okay? Now listen, everybody has their opinion. Everybody has their thoughts. That's what YouTube is about. That's what these social media spaces are about. You have your opinion, and you have the right to address and commentate on these things, right? So he responded to her. Take a look.
Respectfully disagreed and still remain pretty salty about what you said about us. And I feel even more adamant about what your husband, Barack Obama, said when he talked to those men in Pittsburgh and implied that to not vote for Kamala is because we're engaging in some sort of misogyny. There are issues that matter to every American citizen. And to sort of blackmail us emotionally into trying to compel us to vote one way or another is part of what won Trump the election. Because that side of the aisle was able to look at the left and say, look at what they'll do to win. And y'all talking about him like he's worse. And in a lot of y'all eyes, he is worse.
So you just proved her point. You just proved her point that you have a fragile ego and that you went on there because you were mad. And you, instead of talking about what sports team is doing what, you took the time to address Michelle Obama on her, about her podcast and her platform, what she was saying on her thing, because you got your feelings hurt. And then you brought in Trump. Like that had anything to do with why he won. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. So you just proved her point. You gave her, right, that's, you worked your neck off sassy. You definitely proved her point. That's what I'm saying. Michaela says, I think Stephen A. Smith is a white woman stuck in a black man's body. And he doesn't know how to process the world. I agree. I actually agree with that. Y'all are hilarious. Cupcake says, anyone who has a wheelchair ramp for a forehead cannot speak about forever. Damn. I mean, I can't even argue with that. We're going to move on because that hurt my feelings for him. I felt so damn, Cupcake. Woo! My God, on today. Y'all are vicious. Anywho, let's move on to the last story of the night. You know, y'all know what it's about. It's always about. That's what the headlines has been about these past couple of weeks, this past couple of months, this past year. Can y'all believe we're in August already of 2025? And we have 3.5 more years of this raggedy orange shit stain of a human being? God, we ask you to cover us on this day. Father, we ask you to just give us the strength. We ask you to help us reach into our ancestral blood and push through as we deal with this Cheeto in chief. Whew. In your son Jesus' name we pray, amen. All right. So MAGA is all bad because Trump and his ex-boyfriend, who passed away, or allegedly, well, not allegedly, it's been ruled that he offed himself. He committed suicide. Okay, he unalived himself. And so with that, MAGA was all, and mind you, Trump has all been about like, oh yes, we're gonna go and release the MLK files and release the JFK files and release the Epstein files, and we need to figure out what's going on with Epstein and blah blah. For those who may be living under a proverbial rock, Jeffrey Epstein is probably one of the most notorious human trafficking, child abusing, SAing kingpins, if you will, of all time. At least as far as the United States goes. Okay? Like he probably sits in the inner circle of Lucifer's chambers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, what in the actual hell is going on with what he was doing? Okay, we don't need to go into that right now. I have a special Patreon episode with detail. We have a true crime special episode with that one right there. We're gonna talk about it and deep dive into it. Okay, but it's just interesting why there's so much pushback, why there's so much aggression, and firing. Like it even got to the point where Trump was like, he told his own base, he told MAGA to kiss his white ass. That's what he said. I mean, he didn't say that, actually. What he said was that if this is, such a big deal to you, these Epstein files, then, you don't need to support me. I don't want your support. But you wanted their support when you were running for president, right? See, we told y'all what he was going to do. But y'all could not get past your racist, sexist glasses that you put on and not vote for Kamala. But that's cool. It's fine. We're here. No point in going to shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Okay, this is I believe this is on Hulu. This is Surviving Epstein, I believe. Check it out, y'all. It's definitely going to be homework for y'all. If you guys are in Patreon, we're going to go ahead and we're not going to deep dive into the show, but we're going to get elements from the show. If you watch it, you'll have a better understanding when you watch the show in Patreon. But my point is in all of this is, why is this such a big deal, and why all of a sudden now it's a complete hoax? Deflection much? And then it's not something that we came up with. It's not something that we said, hey, MAGA, hey, everybody, look at what's going on over here. We didn't say that, because I still question if there was something in it, if there was something damning in it. I cannot see the Biden administration not speaking on it. If something was so damning in the Epstein files, and that was like so egregious or so criminal and so illegal that had to do with y'all's current president, I can't see the Biden administration sitting on that. Like, I don't see anybody from that administration. I mean, that would have been like a surefire way to win the election. So I don't understand, or at least put a major dent in his momentum. This is a big deal for MAGA. This conspiracy theory is a huge deal for MAGA. So why would the Biden administration sit on that? But that's a whole nother conversation. But y'all brought it up. Y'all were the ones that talked about it. Y'all were the ones that had this whole conversation about, Epstein was the problem, and we need to know what's going on in the files, and we have the proof, and the proof is in there. And then you told us, Pam Bondi, you told us that you had the files on your desk, and there was so much stuff in there. It was like crazy. Then all of a sudden, there's nothing. There's no files. What are you talking about? But now you guys are surprised, and this pyromaniacs, left, center left, people with common sense, sit down on the side for a second. I'm talking to y'all over there, the MAGAs. I'm not going to sit on the fact that you thought that he was just this incredible financial guru, even though he has bankrupted majority of his businesses that he's ever had, with the exception of the Trump Hotel. Okay, and even that was failing before he went and became president. Okay, and his golf courses, those were having issues until he became president the first time. But we told you what he was going to do with the economy. Then he said that he had nothing to do with Project 2020. Say he had nothing to do with it. Now it's being implemented. He said that he didn't know Jeffrey Epstein. You don't know Jeffrey Epstein? You don't know Jeffrey Epstein, girl? Y'all were best friends. What are you talking about? You're a liar in chief. And don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say, there's other politicians. Every politician lies. That's their job. Okay, we're not going to sit here and play these games, okay? Do I like Obama? Yes. Has he lied? Absolutely. Every politician lies. But what I'm not going to sit here and do is, you're not going to sit on and piss on me and call it rain and expect me to say, oh, yeah, wonderful, waterfalls. It smells like piss. Like, it's a little weird. Okay? Not trying to sex king. If that's what you're into, if that's your kink, you do your thing. We're sex positive over here. My point is that you're sitting here and making it seem like we don't know what the hell's going on. And you thought that MAGA was so damn dumb. Some of them are, but majority of them, people don't understand that MAGA is not comprised of these hicks that are in, that are in these low income, uneducated. That's a small percentage of MAGA. MAGA is a huge array of different people. It's a movement. We don't like the movement, but it's a movement nonetheless. Just like in the progressive movement, there's a bunch of different thoughts and ideas and agendas. So don't make it seem like you were going to get away with all of this and just brush it off. Oh, yeah, you have your Trump loyalists. Those are the ones that we're just going to be like, okay, girl, we're not going to have this conversation with you. You go have fun. Enjoy. But let's be real. Let's have a real conversation. We also talked about the damn tariffs. So is this a distraction? So everything that you had a problem, you stated that your jobs numbers was great. Then you fired the person that gave the accurate reality check of what's going on with the economy. I don't understand. Right. And Ashanti and Mariah don't know J-Lo. Exactly. And Miss JD is an idiot and a guy. Well, I think that JD Vance is way worse than Trump. But we'll talk about that later. Okay. I think that they are in a process of trying to get rid of him. And kind of decouple from him because he's just that erratic. But and I think they're trying to position JD in a different space. But we'll see how that goes in the next couple of months. I don't know how that's going to work because the goal, in my personal opinion, I think is to figure out how to get the MAGA base to shift to another leader. But that's a whole nother conversation that we'll talk on Kwame Speaks Official. Yes. Anywho, those are my thoughts. We're going to get into more of all of that later and just kind of figure all of that out later. And as we kind of go through the things that we see, once Trumpania check out of here, the curse will be broken. Right. We'll see. And I don't know. I think a lot of people I don't know if it was Amanda Seales. I think it was Amanda Seales that I saw on Instagram, and she was talking about how like people think that once Trump leaves office, or if Trump was to pass away, or if Trump was to get kicked out of office, that the issues of MAGA will go away. No, MAGA's not going to go away. It's not. Like they're going to come up with another name. MAGA is the new Nazi, the neo-Nazis. MAGA used to be called the Tea Party movement. Then that MAGA used to be called. There's always been a far right movement that surges and gets together and keeps going. Racism is not going to go anywhere. There's always going to be racism, in my opinion, and I think that there'll be I pray for a time where it'll be a lot different, where it'll be kind of like it'll be a norm to look at people who are super racist as like unorthodox and like weird. I pray that we get into that space, but I don't think that racism is ever going to go. And so with that, you're going to have some type of MAGA. Yeah. Let's see what the people say. Cupcake says, I just waiting to see if the Simpsons hold their streak. Listen, they haven't been wrong yet, so we'll see. Dr. Holt said, I swear it's going to be just like the Wizard of Oz when they threw the water on the witch. But even that's different. Like, that's a whole other conversation. We'll get into it. The man is evil. I'm sorry. Nothing for you to apologize. I do think that he's evil. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, y'all. We got about 6 minutes left in the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and coming back with the first day back. And we had the day comes when I rejoice and be glad in it. Listen, that'll be a day. But there's a new segment that I want to talk to you guys or show you guys called Holding Space. Let's get into that right now. So this space or this part of the show is just something where I talk about my thoughts on a particular thing or whatever just drops in my spirit. And I've been following, and if you don't know who this person is, I highly encourage you to follow her, to look into her book called The Let Them Theory. It is a phenomenal book. It's a game changer. It's one of the books that I feel should be in your arsenal. But her name is Mel Robbins. Phenomenal motivational speaker and phenomenal orator. And I just really love how she breaks things down, breaks life skills down, and just get into deep thought. And I came across, and I believe Pyro had posted this a few days ago or last week, but I wanted to talk about this and deep dive into it a little bit. Take a look.
And so there's a huge difference between seeking control and actual power. And here's the headline that I've discovered by saying let them and let me now for 2 years straight. If you feel overwhelmed or tired or stressed out or lonely, or you are not achieving the things that you want to achieve, or you're not as happy as you want to be, the problem isn't you. The problem is the power that you're giving to other people, to their thoughts, to their emotions, to their expectations, to their moods. And you don't have to live like that. Your time and energy is the single most valuable resource you have in your life. How you spend your time, what you pour your energy into, it is what your life is. And what I discovered by saying let them and let me, and understanding the difference between control and true power, is that I was controlling the wrong thing. I had life reversed. See, I thought I'd be happy if you liked me, Rich. I thought that if I navigated my life based on my kids' moods or my husband's moods or my parents' expectations, that was the way that I would feel more in control. But here's the joke that we all need to stop, to accept and kind of laugh at ourselves and then change how we live our lives. There's one thing you'll never be able to control, and that's another person. And yet we've organized our entire lives around ensuring that other people are happy, or that they think a certain thing, or they're in a good mood, or that you've met their expectations. And here's what I've learned. When you actually stop giving your power to other people's opinions and to their moods and to their expectations of you, and you take the power back and you say, well, let me focus on what I think about myself. Let me focus on what my values are and what my intention is, and let me act in a way that is aligned with that as best as I can. And let me actually learn how to respond to my own emotions like a fucking adult, instead of vent texting at everybody or pouting in the corner or gossiping or bitching or taking it out on other people. Let me be the mature adult here and let me work on this. When you actually put your time and energy there, a funny thing happens.
All the other stuff takes care of itself.
Oh my God, Rich. When you're proud of yourself, you actually don't think much about what other people think. When you are kind of focused every day on just doing little things that make you proud of yourself or that are aligned with the things that you care about, you're not worried about what other people's expectations are. If you screw up and hurt somebody's feelings, it's not like World War III is broken out. You literally just know your intentions so you can take responsibility for the impact it had and apologize and move on. It doesn't become this noose around your neck. And you don't feel this sense that you're responsible for everybody in your life.
And I loved hearing that because I think for me, and I'm just being transparent and open and honest with you guys. We only have a couple of minutes left, but I just want to be transparent and open and honest with you guys. I had to take some time for me because I put a lot of expectations on myself, a lot of responsibility that didn't belong to me. And I realized that I cannot control how other people view me, how other people navigate or feel about how I navigate through life. That's not my responsibility. That's not my business. What I can control is how I operate and what my experience and with that person or what people are. And I get to choose because I'm the director and the executive producer of my life. It's like you're the executive producer and director of your life. You get to choose how you navigate life and who you navigate life with. And so for me, somebody else's reaction, somebody else's motivational or response or action, if for lack of a better expression, doesn't dictate how I should respond. I dictate how I should respond. And oftentimes we respond to things that are not necessarily needed. A lot of times we get onto this social media and we're like, oh, I want to prove, because somebody said, why am I sounding like Fat Albert? I want to prove, to this person because, they said that I'm wearing a red shirt and I know I'm wearing a black shirt. Well, I don't have to prove to them that I'm wearing a black shirt. Because what does their opinion or their thoughts or their feeling, how does that truly affect my life? So they can say I'm broke or I'm wearing a red shirt or I'm doing this or I'm fake or whatever the situation is. I have a lot of people that experience me directly. And so they know my experience and they know me. And so those moments when you realize that real life outside of social media operates in a space of responsibility and actuality and power that you have and movements that you have that you choose to do, you release that stress and you take away that power that you were giving to those other people. And so I encourage you guys to think about that as you navigate life, whether it be with, at work, whether it be with negative family members, whether it be with negative, frenemies or whatever the situation is. You have the ability and the power to navigate how you operate and what you respond to. And I've gotten to a place of so much peace because I said to myself, why am I giving a damn what this person is saying? How does it truly affect my life? It doesn't. But I've allowed, because people allow them to get a reaction out of things. People allow that power to be taken away from them. I was talking to someone a couple of weeks ago regarding the movie Sinners, which is a phenomenal movie if you guys haven't seen it. But we allow people, one of the things that in the movie, it's about vampires if you haven't seen it, but I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it. But one of the things that is in there is that you can't allow one of those vampires in unless you invite them. So you are allowing people into your space and giving your power away because you're giving it away. And just like even in spiritual law, like the devil can't possess you unless you allow and invite them in. Like that's not how it works. Like we have free will and we have the autonomy that God has given us, that only if we give away that free will, only if we give away that space, only if we open the door and invite that in, that we are allowing that to consume us. So I pray that this not only allows you to kind of rethink how you navigate life, but also rethink how you navigate life, but also navigate things in a way where you are being more subjective on how much power you're giving out and looking at the ratio and the levels of power that you're giving out. So that's my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you're watching on the replay, make sure you check it out. If you have enjoyed the show, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button, share, and subscribe, because it does help the algorithm. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for tuning on in. Hey, Mona, what's up, boo? Haven't seen you in forever. We is having the serious moment. We was trying. That's why I can't be watching this foolishness on YouTube. I have a career. You got 81 years. That's right. Close the door, pass the collection. Y'all are hilarious. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming on in. I appreciate you. Yes. Like, share, subscribe. Support the platform by Cash App with Pyro Media, or you can hit me up at Kwame C86. And that's C as in Charlie. I love you guys. Stay blessed, stay stress-free, and don't forget to create a great day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, y'all.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.